to Let's Play Gran Turismo 2, episode 56. Alrighty then. We are now back in the simulation mode, after completing the arcade mode, which only took me 2 days, and well, in just a matter of 2 days of recording, I'm now back in the arcade mode. And officially, it is now time for me to get on with my first endurance event on the return to simulation mode. But before I do that, I forgot to save the game originally after I sold this Turismo 400R, and essentially overall, to anyone who did officially spot that, I must say you did a good job. For all of those who spotted, I still have the Turismo 400R in my garage, and well, the car I'm going to use for the next event, I'm going to use the Cobra. And all I'm really going to do now is head down to South City, head down to Shelby, and what it is I'm going to put on are some sport tyres. And I think that's about all I need to do with the Cobra. And all I'm going to do now is just head down, of course, to the endurance events and officially get on with our third endurance event in the game, which is the Seattle City 100 miles endurance race. Well, as you can see up there, Seattle 100 miles endurance. 150 grand for winning, and the max horsepower cap we can have for this event is 591. And well, when I had a look at the preview, it wasn't really much of a challenge, in my honest opinion. And well, as far as I'm concerned, I should be okay with the Cobra. And switching to analog mode. And now we can get started with our first international A license endurance event. Let's see how we go. And holy shit, we have a Superbird in this field. We also have a Shelby Mustang in this field, along with what I think is a Dodge Super B and a Plymouth Barracuda. And I am already up into the lead, and already my rear tyres are worn. Although that is more or less expected, considering this car is rear-wheel drive, very much like many other classic muscle cars, and surprisingly, that is my only real competition in this event. Classic muscle cars is what my official competition is for this event. As I am now heading through the first lap and very much opening up an interval to these AI, and already reaching max speed in the Cobra. As I am now heading through these two chicanes and into the final part of the lap before the chicane, and just checking to see if my microphone is on, and it is. And I'm braking early for some reason, probably because I reached my max speed. But anyways, I'm already leading here in Seattle. and braking early to prevent the car from spinning into the wall, which is probably what it can do very easily, considering obviously these are American muscle cars and all of them are either from the 60s or the 70s, essentially. And I already have a widening advantage to what I think is the challenger in second place. And I'm already opening up the interval. So, at the end of lap 2, I am currently leading the way for Carroll Shelby, whilst my fellow Shelby is somewhere deep in the field. But as for his current position, I couldn't tell you. And even though I do keep hitting my top speed down the straights, I do think the reason why my interval is widening is essentially because I have a higher top speed compared, of course, to the rest of these AI. We probably have a max speed of somewhere over 130. Whilst my max speed is probably somewhere in either the high 130s but low 140s, I would have probably said. At least if you're talking in terms of miles, that's probably what it is. But anyways. So, I think at this point I've already discovered that essentially, since my competition has only really been classic muscle cars, surprisingly, I'm actually pulling away from the rest of the field in my Cobra. And I have a feeling that essentially for this event, I probably made an OP choice, but whichever way the circumstances would have turned out to be, I still didn't think I would have officially made a decision even more traditional than choosing the Cobra. And short shifting, because yes, that was necessary. And braking early so I don't cause the car to spin into the wall. Whilst I know very well that in spite of me currently dominating this event with what must be at least probably a fat 15-second lead by now over presumably the Superbird, who I think is in second. At least I would have probably thought of it to be the Superbird that is in second. My gap, of course, to the rest of these AI is widening considerably up to this point. Even though obviously it's basically been doing that. Even though essentially overall it's basically been doing that pretty much since I took the lead midway through lap 1. As I am already 4 laps complete in this event. So, a tenth of the way there. Oh boy. This is going to be an easy W unless I constantly crash. quickly I went. But at the very least, I think I can say Carol has certainly saved my ass. Carol Shelby, to anyone asking who the owner is of this car. Also the creator. And I would officially say that it is safe to say that with this choice, Carol Shelby has certainly saved my ass from being aroused by the Superbird, which I probably did anticipate was going to be in this event, and yet, surprisingly, the Superbird has actually not been much of a challenger. Not to me, anyway. But yeah. From what I can assume, I would have probably said it is the Superbird that is in second. And as for the rest of the order, I honestly don't know. But to me at least, the second place car has got to be the Plymouth Superbird. I've almost got no doubts in my mind it's the Superbird. Meanwhile, I'm now on lap 6. And I am pretty much 1/8 of the way there. Because 1/8 of 40 is 5. If you can do the maths. And if I am fortunate, this will probably take me around about an hour, judging by my overall lap times. Also judging by how far I am extending my interval to the Superbird. And already my rear tyres are getting a little bit worn, but doesn't look like it's anything to be concerned about up to this point. And if I am fortunate, I should only really have to make probably 3 stops, maybe even 4. If I know the problem is going to be biting me if I know the problem is basically going to be biting me like fleas later on in the stint, then obviously, yeah, you know, I will pit. And yep, there was no chance of me avoiding the wall. Once I knew my front tyre had stepped out, there was virtually no avoiding it even if I tried, but anyway. It's fair to say that I now have a comfortable interval to the Superbird up to this point. And I think from this point I can be conservative with my tyres, because that's probably what I should be if I'm gonna extend this into presumably a 3-stop race, potentially even a 2-stop, which is the way I would like to go if I knew I was going to give myself some confidence. And at the moment I'm driving like garbage. But somehow it is still the top speed. Of this Cobra that is officially managing to keep me out in front of the rest of the pack. And as of which by now, I would say I'm just under half a lap clear of the Superbird. And braking hard on the entry into the corner in third gear, because that is very much me. So, I don't think degradation is too much of a problem right now, but it just depends on knowing if I can make this race a two-stopper. Because if I'm fortunate, I should be able to extend this to a two-stop, which is essentially what I feel like I can do if I know for sure that it is possible for me to pretty much go as long as possibly 15 laps if I know there is the possibility of me extending this stint. And obviously if there is, then you know, I'm going for it. But if there isn't, then I won't. And surprisingly, I actually topped out at max speed and oh fuck. Yes, I think that's what I was needing to do to get myself going again. Just trying to prevent this car from spinning, even though obviously it's already spun around once. And I think at this point I'm going to be in conservative mode, because I've recently discovered this car on worn tyres yeah, it does that. So I think the spins are indications on saying that my tyres are getting worse, but at the moment I have done well to go as long as I have on this stint. As I am already well ahead of the rest of the field up to this point, and still continuing to crash because this car just does not want to stay straight in the corners for some reason. And I am now short shifting. And already after only 10 laps, I'm already approaching my first back marker, which I'm going to assume is probably the Challenger, but I don't know for sure. who is at the back, unless it is the Plymouth Barracuda, which I have noticed was the slowest. Was the slowest car in the Muscle Car Cup when I drove the Stingray. And ultimately overall, as a result of me using that Stingray, I absolutely dominated that event. Well, I absolutely dominated all three of those races, essentially. And I'm still wrecking. And who is at the back? And... oh, okay, it's the Charger. I think that is the Dodge Charger Super B, as far as I know. As far as I know model-wise. I would have probably said that is the Charger Super B. That is officially... in second. Meanwhile, outside my home, there is snow on the ground. At least there will be snow on the ground at the time of when this recording is finished, but yeah. So 11 laps are now complete, and already half of the field after only 10 laps has already pitted, so I'm going to assume they're going for a 3-stop. Unless they're going for a 4-stop, but we'll just wait and see. Yet somehow, in spite of this car just literally slipping and sliding all over the fucking place, somehow I'm still able to overlap this field regardless of what is happening next. And oh, okay. I am approaching the Superbird. Is that the Superbird I see there? And oh, okay, it is the Superbird. So pretty much after all this time of me assuming that he was in second, he's actually in third. The Superbird is actually in third. And the second place car is now pitting. Well, I think I'll go 2 more laps on this set of rubber. And then I will pit. So I think I'll do this lap and then the next lap, and then I will come into the pits. Because my rear tyres are definitely stabbing themselves right now. Oh, my rear tyres are certainly putting themselves on the sabbatical right now. With how much mileage I've been getting on these rear tyres. But somehow I have managed to fight this thing for control, and oddly enough, that is precisely where I currently stand. And so I think I have made it official. I'm gonna take myself up to the end of lap 14, and then as soon as I have got myself up to the end of the 14th lap, that is when I will pit. Considering I'm probably estimating I will lap pretty much most of the field at least twice. Also, furthermore, the reason why I don't think the Superbird has got back on the lead lap yet is essentially because I'm going to assume he either pitted early or has not pitted yet. But again, it's just my assumption of what I think is going on with the Superbird. And oh shit, that's a wall. Actually, you know what? You know what? I think I can go an extra lap on this set of boots. I think I can go an extra lap. On this set of boots if I'm lucky, and it looks like the Superbird is presumably having trouble, but I don't know if he pitted early or if he's just waiting to pit. But meanwhile, my rear tyres are definitely deflating at this point. And that is a wall. So I think that is a clear indication of mentioning that overall my rear tyres are dead. Yep, okay, I've fucked it twice. Oh, okay, and the Superbird does manage to get me moving again, but I think now is the perfect time for me to come into the pits, because I think what I can establish with my rear tyres is that, well, they are now dead. They're fucked, basically. So I've already spun around on this lap twice, and I think, as far as I know, that has officially confirmed that overall this race is going to be a two-stop for me. A two-stop strategy on the sport tyres driving my Shelby Cobra. As I'm now entering the pits. So there we go. So my first pit stop is made, and now I can pretty much see myself, and I just forgot these tyres are cold. But anyways. My first of two stops is made here at Seattle, as I am already 100 laps complete, 15 laps complete in this event. And I think the reason why I'm still colliding with the walls is because, well, my front tyres are probably still cold. But again, I'm not using it as an evasion or an excuse. And now you guys can pretty much tend to see me pretty much burning up the quarter mile by setting in some blistering lap times, even though it may not be a quarter mile, but yep, okay. I think that is the Barracuda, as far as I can tell. And, well, as for my fellow Shelby, I really don't know where he is. He could either be in second or he could be in fifth. I won't know which way round that is until I have completed the race, but meanwhile I'm already starting the 17th lap in my Cobra, and already I'm starting to close up the interval to the Superbird once again, who I'm assuming is also on worn tyres, but again, my calculations could be incorrect, but meanwhile, I now set a 55.5 through the second section, and already I am closing back up to the Superbird, as it has only taken me just a matter of 2 laps to close back up to the Superbird, as I now set a new best lap time of a 1:36.2. And I think it's fair to say the Superbird right now is definitely struggling, because I'm assuming he too is on worn rubber, and I just force him straight into the wall. Well, not exactly the way I always race, but if I know these AI are going to be aggressive with me, then obviously I will very much have to treat them the same way that they treat me, basically. So, I'm now half an hour through this event, and it's only taken me 18 laps to get this far. As all I need to do now is overlap the second place car. As to whoever that may be, I have no fucking idea. But I'm assuming it's either the Dodge Challenger or the Shelby GT350. Which is essentially a modified version of the Mustang, basically. At the completion of lap 18, I now set a new PB of a 1:36.1, so I'm in the low 1:36s at the moment. As I am trying to close up the interval to the second placed car, who I'm willing to assume is probably the Challenger. But again, I could be wrong. And I think what I've now established, of course, is that I had a feeling this would probably take me more than an hour, but at the very least, in spite of it literally looking like I'm just absolutely waltzing away with this event right now, somehow one positive I can give out of this event is that, well, I have at least been traditional about it. And I think my tyres are past their best, but whatever. At the very least, I am closing up to the second placed car. And I'm going to estimate it's probably a Dodge. Also, by the way, this is going to be the halfway lap. As I just pretty much plough myself into the wall as a result of late braking, but of course, if I would have crashed this much in real life, then I would have already been forced into retirement up to this point, but fortunately this is not reality. Because in spite of me literally just crashing and crashing and crashing and crashing and crashing and crashing and crashing throughout this event, somehow this Cobra has still managed to keep me out into the lead, because it is simply by default of this car simply having higher acceleration but also having a higher top speed, which is basically what's been keeping me out in front, and also furthermore, it is my fellow Shelby that is currently running in second. It is a 1-2 for Carroll Shelby at the moment, as Chrysler is running in third. And he just goes straight into the wall, which I had no obligation of being involved in, but we are now halfway through this event, and it's only just taken me about 34 minutes to get there, so if I am fortunate, it will probably take me mathematically about an hour and 8 minutes for me to officially complete this event, whilst I of course am still absolutely waltzing away with the W at the present time, as it has only taken me 20 laps to overlap the entire field. As of which, from this point onwards, I can very much afford to take it easy. And if I am fortunate, then I should be able to take my second stop up to lap 30, and then that will be my second and only other stop of the day. Because I know for certain this is not going to be a one-stop race. This is going to be anything but a one-stop race. I have coincidentally noticed that I am still pulling away from the rest of the field, and it looks like the Shelby has probably come into the pits, unless that is the Superbird that's all the way down there, but I think it's probably the Shelby Mustang, but again, I could be wrong, as I'm already overlapping the Charger Super B for the second time now, as it has only taken me just less than 22 laps to overlap the first of the Dodgers again. So it is Shelby that is currently leading this event, with Chrysler pretty much eating up the rest of the field, because there are 2 Dodgers in this event and also 2 Plymouths, I've noticed. One of them is a Superbird, and I think the other one is a Barracuda, as far as I know. And furthermore, yes, a Barracuda is a type of fish. But meanwhile, I'm still waltzing away with this one, as I still continue to hit max speed in my Shelby Cobra, but somehow still managing to extend my interval to the rest of the field. And of course, another thing I should probably mention is that essentially all of the endurance events have rolling starts, but at the present time I've now pretty much overlapped the entire field up to this point, and into the wall I go as I am getting rear wheel spin, whilst I have successfully managed to correct it by shifting up from second into third, which is what I should have done but obviously didn't. And I'm already yawning. And that is a wall. So, 24 laps are now complete here at Seattle, and the story is at the moment I am still continuing to waltz away with this race. As I am still continuing to yawn because apparently it might be I'm not fully awake yet. But at the moment, of course, as I'm now overlapping what looks like the Challenger. I think it is the Challenger I'm now overlapping. As of which, this race itself is very much classic American muscle. And, oh, okay. correction. That's actually the Barracuda. Yeah, I just had to correct myself. That's actually a Plymouth Barracuda. I just overlapped for presumably the second time because I think it's currently the Dodge Super B that's running in last. And meanwhile for Carroll Shelby at least, both myself and the Mustang are still running 1-2 at this point, so I'm going to speculate. For me, it will be a relatively easy W, but dependent on knowing whether my fellow Shelby can secure second from this race ahead of the Plymouth Superbird, that remains to be seen. I mean, I would have probably said it looks like it at the moment, but again, there will never be any guarantees in the motor racing business, particularly if you know very well that you are driving muscle cars from either the 60s or the 70s, which is essentially what this race basically is. I mean, some cars in this field are from the 60s, but other ones are from the 70s, essentially. And well, as for me at least, I am clearly driving one of the 60s cars, and still continuing to extend my interval. Alrighty then, as I'm still continuing to awaken. And still continuing to pull away from the rest of this field. And just had to be gentle there on the throttle in order for me to get moving again, because I didn't want to be consumed by the greediness that is wheel spin. As I of course am now pretty much 2 laps clear of half the field up to this point, whilst I'm probably waiting to overlap the Superbird for presumably a second time in this event. And even though at the moment this race may be boring, or at least to any of you who think this race is boring, somehow there has been action in certain places, and also furthermore, I've not been repeating the mistake I made at Trial Mountain, which is essentially just putting on racing hard tyres and then just basically going onwards to dominate that race from start to finish, and pretty much win realistically by 2 laps over the rest of the field. And well, at the moment at least, I'm currently not seeing that, because even though I have overlapped the entire field in this event so far, I've not been dominating this event as much as many people may think I have. Because even though I am a lap clear of the rest of the field, oddly enough of course, it has actually been an interesting challenge to try and control a muscle car around an American city such as Seattle. which is located in Washington, BTW, but anyway. It has been an interesting challenge for me to officially control this thing, especially considering the entire field is basically classic muscle cars, and fortunately, for me at least, I have not had any challenges in this event. Pretty much since the drop of the green flag, essentially, but and I still hit the wall. And preventing my car from getting beached by very much spinning the rear tyres. As I can see, degradation is starting to build up again. And it only took just 13 laps on this stint for these tyres to start wearing themselves down again, but I have gone very well, or at least I have done very well so far to go as far as 15 laps with this machine. Especially considering how easy it is to spin this thing into a wall, and essentially overall, by the default of this car having a higher top speed than the AI do, that's essentially the main reason why exactly the race for me so far has primarily been a flick of the wrist, essentially. And right now, I'm basically just cruising, at least until I get in the pits, because my rear tyres are on the edge of death, and I hit the same wall again, as a result of my rear tyres just literally begging to presumably stab themselves. And oh. Never mind. I thought for sure I could correct the spin by essentially doing a 720, and well, unfortunately it don't look like that's happening. So I think it's now time for me to change this set of boots again, because as you can see there, my rear tyres are dead. And it only officially took me 15 laps to realise that my rear tyres were dying. They easily want to be changed. I can tell even from here. But anyways, into the pits I go. And not making nearly as many mistakes as I did before, but still making a fair amount of mistakes regardless of the circumstances. As I'm not even gonna bother revving this time. But anyways, we are now 3/4 of the way there, as I now have only 10 laps to go in this event before I am officially complete, and I do not make the same mistake I made previously on cold tyres, by just pretty much shooting myself straight up into the wall, which is basically what I have been doing on these stints so far. And now it looks looks like my rear tyres are starting to warm up again, as are my front tyres BTW, but at the moment it looks like everything is very much going according to plan, at least on this first lap, as I will have probably overlapped at least most of the field, probably twice in this event. And oddly enough, of course, this event has not happened under similar circumstances to what happened at Apricot Hill, when I know very well that two of the main opponents are basically just spinning off and are just spinning off on different parts of the course, and it literally took them about 22 minutes for both of them to finish the entire race distance as a result of how many times they spun on the course. And that was at Apricot Hill, by the way, which is what BTW is short for. As I am now reapproaching the Barracuda and overlapping him for now the second time, as we are both leaping in midair, and there goes the Barracuda straight into the tyre barrier. And there are quite a lot of those around here, by the way. I have noticed that. As everything at the moment has pretty much been smooth sailing. There has not been a tidal wave on the horizon that has prevented me from losing the lead. But as for the Superbird, I really don't know where he is right now. But he could be in the pits, essentially. As I am now at the start of lap 33. Managing to narrowly avoid the wall this time, as I stepped on the brakes a little bit early there, but again, I did have my reasons for stepping on the brakes early. Also, it would be nice if I could get at least one clean lap without hitting the walls. And essentially overall, that's basically what I've been doing throughout this race. Considering how loose this car has been, if I could get at least one clean lap out of this event without touching the walls, then obviously I will be satisfied. But at the moment, I've been setting anything but satisfying laps. At least I think I've been setting anything else but satisfying laps, because of how many times I've been scraping the walls. Anyways, hopefully this will be my best lap. If I can set something reasonable through here. And no, I cannot. And oh, fuck me. Yeah, that was guaranteed to happen sooner or later. As a result of me just literally having to fucking victimize myself to the wall, or make myself a victim to the wall. That was guaranteed to happen sooner or later. And well, I don't think this lap is going to be a PB, because I clearly fucked up there. So, doesn't look like we're going to go for a PB at this point. But I will try to see if improvements are there to be found. And well, at the moment, it remains to be anything but. As on that lap, I was very close to the guardrail on that lap, especially considering I was going under trees as well. And I'm going to assume, as of which I'm going to assume those are planted trees, but if I do manage to get a PB, then that would be something. This will probably be the third time I have overlapped the Super B, because the Dodge Super B in this event has basically just been nowhere but the rear of the field. Presumably, that's probably the third time I've overlapped the Super B in this event. And I do say presumably. As I have nearly surpassed an hour in this event. And that's probably the best lap I've done on this stint so far. Shifting up into fourth because why the hell not? Also because I'm still driving like garbage. Also furthermore, I've now surpassed an hour in this event basically. Approaching as I am of course now approaching my barefoot serpents in the closing stages of this event. So, 36 laps are now complete and I am pretty much 90% of the distance cleared. As I am suddenly witnessing disturbances once again. And it's into the wall I go, but surprisingly not into the wall I thought I was gonna go straight into. . So, 37 laps are now close to being on the board. And it doesn't look like I'm going to get a PB from this event. And I don't even know when exactly I set my best lap time. I really don't. But anyways, 3 laps to go here in Seattle. And then this fucking bastard of a car can finally be put to rest. Or at least I should probably say the handling is a bastard. Because, fucking hell, this car really knows how to spin. In pretty much all the wrong places. But anyways. And I'm probably going to imagine that by the time these fucking AI have completed this event, whilst I know at the moment I am still driving like shit, this car at the moment is really taking me a long way, in spite of how many times I have collided with the walls on this course. And yep, I should have known that was going to happen. Right before the final lap, I should have known that was going to occur. And I think that's confirmed that as soon as these AI have finished this race, my rear tyres will easily be dead. As I am now on the penultimate lap of this race. And just as I predicted, it hasn't taken me too much over an hour, but again, in my mind at least, I would assume it has been hard fought, as I'm just trying to overlap the Super B once again. Sorry, the Barracuda once again. And I think I'm clear of the Barracuda, but anyways. Here we go, our 40th and final lap of the Seattle 100 miles. As of which, in my Shelby Cobra, I have absolutely dominated this event. And I'm still continuing to hit the walls. Whilst I am coming through to overlapping my fellow Shelby once again. Because in spite of all the crashing I've been doing pretty much throughout this event, I have still somehow managed to overlap the entire field at least once. Yep, one final mistake right before I crossed the line, but anyways. It is complete. The Seattle 100 miles is now complete. And just as I predicted, I have overlapped most of the field at least. I have overlapped most of the field at least twice in this event. And so, I was wrong actually. That was not a Dodge Challenger in this event. It was actually a Plymouth Roadrunner that was in this event, which is essentially what the Plymouth muscle car is, but anyways. It's a 124 Shelby, and I was wrong on the model. It's actually a Shelby GT500. But anyways, all we need to do now is wait for the rest of the field to finish. Alrighty then, everyone has finally finished, and it's only taken 6 minutes for the Charger to make up his 3 laps. So in the end, I pretty much won by over 3.5 minutes over the Shelby Mustang GT500, which does also mean, of course, it's a 124 Carroll Shelby. Then it was the Plymouth Superbird in 3rd, followed by the Barracuda in 4th. In 5th was officially the Roadrunner, which is essentially what the Plymouth muscle car is. It's a Roadrunner. And the Dodge Charger was in last by 6 minutes and 18 seconds. That is your final finishing order for the Seattle 100 miles. Actually yeah, I need some clickbaits. Obviously, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and see if I can get myself a reasonable shot of my Cobra, which is basically what I'm doing. Just trying to see if I can get myself a reasonable shot of my Cobra before the end of the first lap, essentially. And yeah, that was the first time I officially reached my max speed of this car, or top speed I should say, of this car. Meanwhile, further back, everything else is just mostly smooth sailing from here, but you know, excuse me. Alright, I think I've got myself a reasonable shot there. And also furthermore, it still sucks on how with the endurance events, it only really shows the final 10 laps of the event and not all of the laps like it did in GT1 with the endurance events. So 150 grand for winning, as my best lap time was a 1:36.1, and we also get a new car, as we do from pretty much all of these endurance events. And of course, I'm going to save the game. And I do believe, at the very least, I have given myself a thumbnail I can agree with. Is it possible for me to save it? And if I delete these two... No, it is not. Okay. Endurance events replays are still too big, but fortunately I did record a replay of the first lap just in case. So obviously that's not going to be a problem. And all I need to do now is officially see what prize car I won. Because there are two prize cars I can win from this event, and both of them are Fords. So, my first event on returning to the simulation mode has been a success. Next up is the special stage Route 5 endurance. So, let's now check out our new prize car. And do we get the one we want? Oh, okay. Well, not exactly the one I was after, but again, I'll still agree with the Ford Escort, you know, because obviously this is the Ford Escort Cuzzy. So yeah, this is still a cool car, even though obviously I was mainly wanting the GT90, but you know, I can negotiate. Because, you know, this car is just about as good looking as the GT90 is, in my honest opinion. And so, my average win ratio is now up to 82%, and in the end of that, we are now officially 55.25% complete with the game overall. So, that was the Seattle 100 miles. Next up is the special stage Route 5 all-night endurance. And so with that, stay tuned for more GT2.